So Balthazar wants to know what corporate hashtag Mick resistance have you faced so far? That's a
Um,
fun one.
that is a fun one. As of right now, honestly, we haven't really gotten any. I think we're so new. This idea is relatively, it's sort of just exploded over the last couple months because of, honestly, the bravery of the City Council of Los Angeles. There was one moment, and bravery is a word that I rarely use, but literally, I was at a city council meeting where city council president Herb Wesson like bellowed at the legislative analyst for the city because this was a lawyer who was basically going like, if we do a public bank, it's going to be so hard, and there's all these things, and there's all this shit. And Herb Wesson was like, I know it's going to be hard. Like, nobody's saying that it's not going to be hard. Your job is to tell me how we do this, not how hard it's going to be. And because of the backing we've gotten from establishment, I mean, Herb Wesson is not a Bernie bro, you know, like I think the establishment sees the writing on the wall with this right now. That it makes zero sense why we are just paying these billions of dollars or owing these billions of dollars per year to Wall Street. That they want to cut out the middleman too. There's nothing more American than wanting to cut out the middleman, other than I guess wanting to murder your boss. You know, like, like so. I'm shocked that we haven't gotten any corporate backlash from this. We expect some. We've done opposition research. We assume it's going to be, you know, the backlash we're going to get is, oh, these clowns in City Hall are going to run a bank. They can't even, you know, run an airport. Or they can't
even fix a pothole.
Right, exactly. Right. And so that's what we assume it's going to be. We assume that they might even, especially the corporate Mick resistance people, are going to try to come at us from the left, which you're seeing a lot now. The centrists are concerned trolling from the left by like, we're assuming they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, the city hasn't spent this money to solve the homelessness crisis. Aren't you, you know, they're just going to pocket it because they're big money loving, you know, whatever. And our response to that is we are making a fully transparent, fully accountable bank. And right now, the status quo, how's that working for you?
No shit. Is
Can
that
you
really
vote out Jamie Dimon? That's what we're assuming. That's
you know
happening.
What I mean? But no. I mean, like, I understand what you're saying, and I see where you're coming from. But is that really an attack from the left? Because they're basically saying the corporatocracy is better.
Yes. So that's
just hypocrites.
Right. Ultimately, it's not, but they're painting it as though it's from the left.
Right.
You know, it's this thing where, you know, you see Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez be attacked for supporting somebody who is like, there was like I think a woman of color that was running that was like anti-single payer and anti-$15 minimum wage and, you know, anti all of these policies that would disproportionately benefit people of color. And they were like, oh, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hates people of color, you know, where it's like they're putting on woke face, basically, is what they're doing. And they're attempting to come at the issue from the left. But like you just did, it takes about a minute to discredit their argument.
So getting on, since we kind of diverted back to messaging, we do have a question related to it too. How do you sell this? How do you sell this idea to conservative and libertarian voters?
I think this is great, right? Conservative voters hate a greedy elitist people, right? They love cutting out the middleman. They love being able to fix the potholes in their streets. They love, you know, there was a study that came out from Fix LA a couple of years ago that showed that the city of Los Angeles pays more money to Wall Street than we do on our actual streets, on like street services, fixing our actual roads and, you know, freeways and infrastructure. And so to a conservative, I would focus on the idea that we're cutting out the middleman. We're saving billions of dollars in excess government pork spending. We're cutting spending here. We're closing the debt. Like, I don't give a fuck about the national debt. Like, that's something that I think that conservatives use to try to make people think that something bad's going to happen. But for me personally, I don't care. But in this issue that I care so much about, I can use that argument that, kind of is like conservative catnip of, hey, we're going to reduce the deficit. We're going to reduce LA's deficit, even though we have a surplus. And then for libertarians, I think it's very important to point out that we are going for local control. We don't want the national finance overlords to be in control of how your city is allowed to invest its public money. We're putting local control back into this. Why are some greedy bankers in New York City telling your city, and this goes for Humboldt County, this goes for San Diego County, this goes for like other groups that using the Bank of North Dakota as an example here. The Bank of North Dakota has the strongest community banking system in the country. And it's no coincidence that they also have the only public bank. So what would happen is, small farming communities where a lot of like libertarians would be, for example, in the Central California, Northern California, where there's the sort of weed libertarians, we would be able to share risk with community banks. We would be able to take some of the risk, like the Bank of San Francisco, for example, the Public Bank of San Francisco would be able to take some of the risk from the community banks in order to loan more money out to small businesses. And anytime you talk about helping small business, that is also like catnip to these people. And it's true that we would be able to help small businesses that are currently being targeted for huge interest or just being completely ignored by the finance industry. And ultimately, we are democratizing finance. And that to me is something that should work across the entire ideological spectrum. I guess unless you are a banker. Like the idea that here is this thing that is, this is the thing this is power, right? Like money is power, and the ability to access money is power. And we are now leveling this so that it's not as, tiered with elites. And I think that can kind of work across any ideological spectrum.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news